Dave Arnold, District Attorney.
I'm Dan Wright, Chief County Detective. Title 37, Section 501 of the Pennsylvania Code requires precious metals licensing dealers to be licensed in the state of Pennsylvania. It also requires them to report transactions to the local district attorney's office and sets out standards on how those transactions are supposed to be reported. That information is used by the district attorney's office and other investigative bodies to investigate crimes and to determine whether items are being sold that are stolen. We also have a lot of buy and sell stores in the city and the county of Lebanon, and we've determined through our experience that often stolen items are sold and purchased at those locations. Currently, there's some ordinances in local municipalities that require reporting methods for those buy and sell stores for items that aren't precious metals, that aren't gold, silver, platinum. And that item's collected by local police departments and municipalities to determine, whether they're reported properly and whether some of those items have been used in criminal activity. We've been tossing around for the past year or so ideas on how to centralize that information, because currently if you were the victim of a burglary and you would report that information to a police department, they could use that data to help investigate the crime, but it's not centralized. It's stored in various locations and through various investigative bodies. And we've tossed around ideas of getting a third-party vendor to help us out with this kind of thing, and it's pretty expensive, and it's something that we were actually close to doing, but fortunately an opportunity presented itself. York County took it upon themselves to have a program developed on their own to have a centralized source of data on having all parties report their information online. And then that online information can be disseminated to various investigative bodies and various police departments. They've extended that opportunity to us to help defray their costs. Their goal is to eventually have a several county source of data to help with regional crimes, regional investigations. We know criminals and criminal activity is not limited to county boundaries. We know people cross those boundaries when they do these types of things. So the agreement would allow us to participate in their online reporting system, and it would allow precious metal dealers and buy and sell stores to report directly online as opposed to providing paper copies to their local municipality or emailing them to us. It would also have a centralized location of data. For example, if we were investigating a burglary where a butterfly gold pendant was stolen during the burglary, an officer could upload a search for this butterfly pendant onto that data system, and he would receive an email of every butterfly pendant that was sold in a several county region, and it would be a great asset for criminal investigations. And what we're requesting is that we enter into this MOU with York County to be a part of this online reporting system for gold and precious metals, and we would like to expand it to be to secondhand store dealers. The initial cost would be approximately $14,000. We would pay for that out of the drug forfeiture account. Based on our experience of the drug nexus with the sale of stolen goods, that's a viable option of using that account. The annual cost would be a couple $100s of software maintenance. So the initial outlay would be a little bit, but it's something we think is worth the rewards of belonging to it.
Any questions?
I think you answered my questions, but I'd like to clarify. The buy-in fee is $14,000?
It's not quite set yet. It's approximately $14,000, and when other counties become involved,
You get a credit?
We would get credited for that. So if the overall cost is $30,000, if ultimately 3 counties would be involved, your cost would be $10,000. So if our initial check was $14,000, if other counties would get involved, we would get some of that back.
Okay, I'm just qualifying because I like what I'm hearing, but page 1 says funding is at no cost to the county, and then it goes on to talk about buy-in fees and invoices on a quarterly level.
Right.
And I don't know that it specifies, maybe it does, that it comes from the drug forfeiture fund, but that is not just this year, that is as long as
Forever.
it operates.
That's correct.
And then the quarterly fee, is that like $50 a quarter to come up to the $200, or is that in addition to the $200?
The annual fees have not yet been set because we don't know how many people are going to be involved in it. But
Okay.
based on our verbal conversation and meeting with York County, it's a few $100s a year
Okay.
is what we're told.
All right, and that then would be broken down and billed quarterly?
Yes.
Okay, I understand, thank you.
John?
Yeah. Is Lebanon the first county to buy in?
Lebanon would be the first county to buy in. That's correct. And I know they're in talks with other counties. I don't know the progress of those conversations. And York County owns this software. It's not a vendor. They actually hired somebody to develop this program for them. So it's not like, you know, the outside software vendor is going to raise fees after people are connected. So they own this product. The agreement indicates that we would not be a part of ownership because it's their product. They want to keep control of it, but we would be able to participate.
How long have they been operating it, and it's working? You're confident it's?
They've been operating for probably, we've been in talks with them for 6-8 months, and I know it's been operational prior to that.
Gordon?
How expansive would this be? You're mentioning precious metals and secondhand stores. Would that be expanded to any and all, either philatelic, numismatics, any, bookstores, rare books, things of that nature? Is that what you're talking about?
Well,
just how expansive?
Precious metals are required by state law to report to the district attorney's office, and then secondhand shops are required by local ordinance to report. And what we're trying to get involved is secondhand stores. So if they're not required by ordinance to report to either the local municipality or to the district attorney's office because it's precious metals, they probably wouldn't be involved in that. And for example, I've already talked with Chief Briner and met with him concerning the city ordinance, which says specifically secondhand shops must report to the chief of police, and we believe that he can determine how they report. So based on their ordinance, we believe that the city secondhand shops would be requested to participate in this program and eventually would participate. And we've reached out to a couple shops just to have a conversation with them, and whatever's the easiest way to report is what they would want to do. So some would embrace this as, instead of printing out forms and dropping them off at the police department, they'd be able to do this from their office and upload photographs and driver's licenses into this system to make it easier for them to report.
I guess what I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around is just, for example, Ecken Road.
Yes.
They deal in coins.
Mhm.
To the best of my knowledge, they do not deal in bullion, take.
They report to us.
Yeah, they do report to
Yes.
us. Okay. Thank you.
I do have a follow-up question. When you're talking secondhand stores, of course, I know that there's a lot of buy and sell, like they'll buy things.
Right.
But there's also the thrift stores, like the Humane Society and the Salvation Army, where they get donations. Are they required to report?
If the store is required to report based on local ordinance, they're required to report.
Do you know if they're required to report anywhere?
Ones in the city, if they're determined buy and sells that meet the standards set in their ordinance, are required to report.
But if they're not buying and they're receiving donations, then they would not?
If they're receiving donations, they're not required to report.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a big burden on all the volunteer.
And I do believe there are buy and sells that are municipalities that don't have a local ordinance requiring them to report, and we would go out and talk to them and ask them to participate in the program.
If it's voluntary, sure.
Right.
Okay.
Is there any cost to the buy and sell
No.
to do it?
No, there's no cost, other than an internet connection, which I think probably everybody has already.
Well, sorry.
Just in case they don't. I know there are businesses in Lebanon that operate without internet. They don't even
Right.
take charge cards, for crying out loud. So my question is
That's a
does
hurdle
it
we'd
require it?
That's a hurdle we'd have to get over
Okay.
when we get to
I
that.
can't imagine, because the precious metals dealers are constantly checking,
Many of them sell
what
online,
the price is,
Right.
so. Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we support the detective and our chief to implement this precious metal database with York County
Second.
Is that satisfactory?
Yes.
Dave, do you have any other comment before we vote?
I don't have any comment. Again, we sat down with the DA from York and his chief, and we got a firsthand view of how this program worked. It really will, I think, be beneficial. Buy and sells and precious metal dealers who are legitimate, I'm sure, don't want to purchase stolen property, and this will be a way to help them. It'll be a way to help us to solve crime, hopefully even prevent crime potentially. Like home burglaries, things like that. I think it'll be a wonderful tool, and I think we're really excited to have this available to us.
And there will be no cost to municipal police departments in Lebanon County or York County to become members and access and receive daily emails of sales. You can program your contact any way you want to on what you receive on a daily basis or weekly basis, or how often you would receive notifications, or you can go on the website and search specifically. So a smaller police department would incur no cost in participating in this program.
So like central booking. Okay. Any yes.
Is this going to save you an office man?
Well, it's going to save some work for the municipalities that do receive written notices of buy and sell, and it'll save some office staff a little bit of time with the precious metals transactions we receive, which are entered into a spreadsheet that allows for sorting and searching, but still that spreadsheet's not accessible to every police department without coming in and asking to look at it, or calling me and saying, can you check to see if this is on there? So it will save some office staff time on entering data.
Can you give an example of where this would have helped in the past, or any?
Well, from my prior experience, there's boxes and boxes of transactions in the Lebanon City Police Department that occur from the buy and sells in Lebanon City, and we've had officers from other departments often come in and, hey, can I look through this month? Can I look through this week? Can you look for this? Can you try to find this item that was sold? That wouldn't have to occur. Again, you enter a search query into this system and you get an email notification when something like that happens. So, I think it's going to be a huge asset when it's fully implemented and up and running.
Have you shared this with the local departments in Lebanon County?
Yes, there's a regular chiefs of police meeting that I've shared this with twice in the spring, that this is something we're looking into and hopefully are going to come to fruition, and they've been notified that this is happening.
And are they positive about it?
They've expressed great interest in it.
No other questions? Vote. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.